When we refer to ourselves as I, what exactly is it that we are referring to? This is not a question that can be answered by looking outward, so instead we need to look inward to our own experience to answer this question. So let's do that. Please note that if you are approaching this topic from a materialist perspective, that matter is fundamental, we would advise you to view our playlist on Questions for the Materialist. Others may wish to view our video on How the World Works, describing the idealist alternative. Let's go. We think thoughts, we feel emotions, and we perceive through our senses, but all of these are experiences that require consciousness. We know nothing outside of experience and our awareness of it. If this is in any way surprising to you, we would invite you to pause this video and examine your awareness to verify the truth of this statement. Thinking, feeling, and perceiving are the activity of our minds, and every thought, feeling, and perception is transitory. It has a definitive beginning and end. So if our minds have activity that is solely transitory, then what binds these experiences together into a being that we call I? Who exactly is experiencing that activity? Is there a distinct self or person inside of your mind? Is there something else there that is separate and distinct from your experiences? Again, this is a question that can only be answered through introspection. Pause and search your mind if you like. We contend that there is only conscious awareness, the observer of your experience, that is present, and nothing more. Consciousness is the subject of all experience, and the experiences themselves are the transitory mental objects of that singular subject. Awareness itself is not transitory, and in fact does not age. It is the same now as it was when you were a child, but you have had a great many transitory experiences since then. Yet, everything about our mind is finite. Not only our thoughts and feelings, but also all perceptions, including those of all cells in our bodies, every relationship, and even our planet. Everything is finite, except for one thing. Idealism holds that consciousness is the only thing that exists, that it is infinite as viewed from our finite perspective, as actually it exists outside of time. Idealism holds that we all share this one consciousness, and that we are temporary collections of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions through which consciousness experiences the finite. In fact, all living things are localized aspects of consciousness, each with their own modalities of experience. To be aware is to know. Therefore, awareness's knowledge of itself is a unique kind of knowledge. It is the only form of knowledge that does not require the subject-object relationship. It is absolute knowledge. That is, it is the only knowledge or experience that is not relative to or dependent upon the finite mind, the apparently separate subject of experience. The I that we refer to is our awareness, and our awareness is singular and shared. There is only one I, ever. From our perspective, we as temporary finite beings are separated from our intrinsic infinite nature. But consciousness itself is the absence of all separation, and this absence of separation is what peace and happiness are by definition. What we consider to be the self is just the activity of consciousness. When you dream, for instance, there is a mind experiencing the dream from a first-person perspective within your dream, yet there is no separate person or self present in your dream. Only the activity of thinking, feeling, and sensing occurring in the mind of you, the dreamer. The dreamed entities are not real individuals. They were just another localization of experiences. From our perspective in the waking state, a person is what thinking, feeling, and perceiving looks like when viewed from another localized perspective, another finite mind. We all seek happiness, but often this search is disguised. For instance, if you were to search for a specific partner but learned somehow that if you succeeded in being with this person, that you would be guaranteed to be unhappy, would you continue to seek that person out? No, because that person, and every other object of desire, is just a means to happiness. Pause and think about it if you like. The peace and happiness that we seek is our own fundamental nature and is something that deserves more introspection. Our minds have several modalities that we experience constantly. Consider that our modality of thought, when pursued to its ideal, is truth. Truth is that which is, and our consciousness is truth because it is all that exists. Consider that the ideal of perception, whether visual, audio, or any other sense, is in fact beauty, and that the ideal of all emotion is love. These are all the nature of that which is infinite consciousness. And there may be other kinds of minds in the universe with other modalities of which we cannot conceive that are likewise true. Further, consider that happiness and sadness may be thought of as polar opposites on a scale, but another way of conceiving of happiness is simply happiness itself and the absence of happiness, which increases as happiness is obscured. Happiness is your true nature shining, and the experience of happiness is consciousness's knowledge of itself. There's a similar non-dual understanding for beauty and its absence, love and its absence, and truth and its absence. Happiness cannot be acquired, it can only be revealed. We cannot know happiness as an objective experience, we can only be it. We cannot be unhappy, we can only know unhappiness as an objective experience. Consider that happiness, truth, beauty, and love are the fundamental nature of consciousness, our fundamental nature, and we yearn for these things as they are our nature, but they are obscured from us by our own thoughts, feelings, and perceptions that veil the truth. This can be discovered only inside ourselves through introspection and experimentation. Also, we do not exist for consciousness to learn about itself, as our minds contain only mental objects, and consciousness is the only subject capable of knowing. Consider that when we dream, we create worlds of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions, but the character experiencing these in our dream is not aware of you, the dreamer. It is the dreamer that is aware of the character experiencing the dream. The same is true of universal consciousness having generated us as localized finite versions of thought, emotion, and perception. It does so not to learn anything more about itself, but rather to experience the finite through us. We are constrained by our limitations, as finite minds cannot know the infinite. We, as localized minds, are not aware, for there is only one awareness. Human beings do not experience, they are experienced. A human being is a mixture of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions only. There is no entity to whom thoughts, feelings, and perceptions belong. There is just thinking, sensing, and perceiving. These don't belong to the human. They are the human. Thinking says that there is a person at the middle of this bundle called a self or a person, which when looked for is never found. If you need to pause to try and find this self within your mind, please do. An example of getting in touch with our fundamental nature is as follows. Most people, but not all, in response to, say, a beautiful piece of music, have felt what we casually refer to in English as chills. I got chills. Consider, though, that this experience, of course, has nothing to do with temperature and certainly not anything as mundane as nerve cells, but rather everything to do with our momentary connection to the beauty of our true nature. That sensation is what we call chills. Before listening to music that you love, let your mind become still, allowing the music to take you through this stillness to wherever it leads, and explore this experience. And consider that this music was composed by a mind reaching toward this same part of our nature. In future videos, we will explore types of meditation that can be used to facilitate further exploration of our true nature. Until then, please like, subscribe, and spread the word about Consciousness Squared.